You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Presented by Bet365, it's time for the Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take. Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with you. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N, all in uppercase today. What's going on, Rosie? How was your weekend, buddy?
How you doing? Yeah, really good weekend. I had two 40th birthday parties. My goodness. One was a big like tomahawk steak and was it like lobster tail? Like he went all out. And then the other one was a shop party that got karaoke and flip cup going. I felt like I was in college again. But yeah, by all accounts, a good weekend.
I love those retro parties, by the way. I've been to a couple of those in the last couple of years, and maybe it's everybody coming out of the pandemic and such. But I love when you throw back the clock and play some flip cup and some beer pong, man. I love that.
Well, we had some people. It was for my sister's husband, so my brother-in-law, and there's some people from Calgary and all over the place. And some of these people had never played flip cup. They're like, "You small town bred." And I was like, "Jesus, you've never played it? It's not that more of an American college thing, if you ask me." But by all accounts, everyone had fun. Kids all were winning in minor hockey. It was a solid weekend. Thanks for reminding me about that.
July 16th, 2025. What do you have in store for the big 4-0 for you? Anything? We going away together, buddy? Just me and you, or what?
Oh, should we? We should plan it. I don't know. I haven't planned anything. I've got, like I said, some buddies that are coming at that milestone. So we've been planning that. We're going to go to Austin here in Texas and play some golf for a buddy. I don't think that's really mine, but I don't know. My brother, my wife, we'll see what they have in store.
I know you have that trip coming up to Austin. Have you been there before?
I've played there. Yeah. I like that.
Dude, how sick is Austin?
It's changed a lot, I hear, with a lot of California people, everything else. But I mean, I love Texas. It's a very cool college town, and it's just like live music like crazy. I mean, kind of there with Nashville in a lot of respects. From every bar's just got talented people on stage playing some music, and their college football atmosphere and golf. And I just love everything about Texas and a lot of those states in that area.
I went to a college football game there. I went for a bachelor party a couple years ago in Austin. It was like Labor Day weekend, dude. It was an insane time from the bars to the bachelor party. You could even do like this booze cruise where they take you around in a boat and then they bring you to this area where it's all bachelorettes and bachelor parties and you just party your face off. Like, I didn't even know this place existed. Then I went. I'm like, holy crap, this place is amazing.
Yeah, it's a hell of a town. That in Nashville, we went and we saw the Vols play in the Titans Stadium. And before the game, we went on a little pontoon cruise, booze cruise as well, or down the river. But lots of fun things to do down there. And when you're sitting up here in the ice cube that it is right now in my parts of the woods, it's nice to get away and get that little release to get down and do some fun stuff while the winter's dragging on up here.
I still maintain as I've told you before, I've been to like 29 countries. The hottest heat I've ever felt is actually in Austin, Texas, where it felt like I was an egg. Like
No kidding.
it was so hot. I went for Labor Day and my skin was like crackling, man. It was nuts.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice, man. I like the dry heat. I don't like Florida too much. Like drafted by Tampa, I'd go down there in July for like a prospects camp, and it reminded me of at home in the wintertime. Like the streets were empty, and if someone needed to like get to their car, they'd have already like pre-started to cool it down. They'd run from the building across the street into their car like we do in the wintertime. Too hot for me. As soon as you step outside, you're soaking wet. You feel like you need to change. I don't like that. I like the dry heat of like Texas and Arizona. And then over here, like Alberta, BC, that's a nice dry heat. I just bake in the sun. I love that shit.
I'm looking forward to this coming weekend. I told you off the air about an hour ago. I decided to pick up shop. I'm going to go to Tampa this weekend and watch the Leafs play in Tampa, Emily Arena Saturday night. Booked my tickets last night. I'm pumped for this one. I always love these games when the Leafs play the Panthers and the Lightning, measuring stick games, and it's like American Thanksgiving. So I was like, why not? Why not do this thing, you know?
That'll be nice. They make such a big deal about Thanksgiving down there. It's kind of cool. And yeah, being in Tampa, watch out for that Brendan Hagel right now. He is hot, but yeah, it seems like the Lightning are kind of not on the back burner, but they're just not really spoken of too much, and they're just kind of quietly in that division doing all right. So it'll be interesting to get their hands for the Maple Leafs on the Tampa Bay Lightning and see how they stack up against them. As like I said, they're kind of on the back burner on people's minds for some reason this year.
Yeah, off the radar. You're so right. And I think it's just because we've seen them there time and time again. But even watching last night, they spanked the Colorado Avalanche. It was like a live spanking on national TV. It just felt that way in watching that game. And there was one inferior team in that game. And obviously we know who it was. Like it was just really, really impressive stuff. And it seems like every so often we get a nice reminder that Tampa's still around. People forget about them sometimes, and you're like, oh yeah, they got Hedman, they got Kucherov, they got Vasilevsky. They got all these gamers up and down that roster. That's why every time the Leafs play them, there's always mild concern, although I think the Leafs have played them much better the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'd agree, and don't forget about John Cooper at the helm.
Yeah,
I think he's the best coach in hockey,
I
man,
agree.
hands down by all accounts. And yeah, it's just kind of it's a different vibe right now. I mean, you see that Florida's kind of sliding, what Boston's going through right now. Leafs are surging against all odds with all their injuries. It's kind of an interesting time, especially in that Atlantic to see it. I think it's kind of up for grabs, and I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Tampa did make a jump and made some noise. As you said, they're kind of off the radar so far, but interesting time as we're at about that quarter way mark through the season. I don't think it's exactly shaking out how everyone anticipated, and I think that's a good thing.
For sure. And we get to American Thanksgiving. There's always that barometer as well. So we'll go through that as the week goes on. But did you catch this thing in the AHL over the weekend? I know I changed the rundown of the show last minute because I had to get your opinion, your thoughts on a former Maple Leaf and his actions. William Lagesson of Grand Rapids with a headlock on Iowa's Adam Raska. Just please describe it from a player's mentality, how people feel about this.
Yeah, I did see that. It just came across my feed. We didn't even talk about it, but like I don't get that at all. I don't know if he's trying it like a rear naked choke on the ice. Like, what are we doing here? I know that there's all these unwritten rules about hockey and like what you can do in a fight, and it's really weird to people considering like, okay, so you're bare knuckle fighting without your gloves on, but this is allowed and that's not, and it's kind of all these little caveats of it. And one of the things that you don't ever see is a guy put a guy in a rear naked choke and bring him down, and he's literally trying to tap out. And I don't know, there's little tricks and stuff when you're down in a scrum, like you can push a guy's visor against his nose and it doesn't look like you're doing anything crazy, but it'll hurt like hell and send the guy a message. And I don't know what he was trying to do there, but I don't like it personally at all. Like, grab the guy and whatever you got to do, like the traditional stuff, I guess. But rear naked choke the guy, I don't know if that's dangerous. Like, what if he passed out there? Then what does the league do? What's the repercussions? Is that allowed? Is it not? It's just an odd thing. And you can tell the guy's like tapping out. You're behind him. He has no way to really defend himself. I don't know. I just don't need to see, our game go towards an MMA setup with that kind of stuff. Keep it the way it is.
You know what that told me? William Lagesson has no clue how to fight. I think it's the most coward thing you can do on the ice, try to choke out your opponent, man. Like that. When I see guys do that, I lose my mind because it tells me you don't know how to fight and you're trying to get out of the situation. I don't know if you read it differently.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you're in a position of power where you're scared. You don't want, some guys go into scrums and they're bloody terrified. I remember grabbing guys in scrums, you didn't start it, but you come in late and you're grabbing a guy and guys are like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And you're like, oh my God, the fear of God is in you right now. Like, relax, dude. We're all wearing equipment. No one's gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna grab you. And some guys just don't like being in that position. That's fine. And I could see a guy like him, having a leg up, the guy's back's turned to him, and the last thing he wants him to do is turn around and have an altercation. So you do all you know how to do is wrap your like. I don't know if he had, maybe so many guys are into jujitsu and different rolling and grappling things in the off season and lots of different training regimens. So I don't know if he's trained in that and he's actually using an MMA. I think that's a rear naked choke. I could be wrong.
You're right.
If he's actually using that as a move out there, or if he's just panicking, going, I got this guy where he can't hurt me and I'm just going to hold him there. I don't know what's going through his head, but I agree with you. I don't like it at all. And I don't really like seeing it. Get that stuff out of the game. We don't want to introduce new, odd, weird, professional MMA, mixed martial art ways of, going after people on the ice. Let's keep it traditional here with the scrapping.
Man, someone teach him how to scrap or I don't know, just keep it even with like I don't know. I just think there's a variety of different things you can do in that type of situation that doesn't involve trying to choke out your opponent. Like I sort of feel bad from Adam Raska's point of view because he looks like a bit of a donkey being choked out on the ice, but it's more the actions of the player. I just think, as mentioned, there's a variety of different things you can do as opposed to that. And it's something that you can correlate to this Maple Leafs team. If you do recall years ago, they were laughing in scrums, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I really like about this Leafs team is just it didn't happen overnight, but just little building blocks were put in place. And all of a sudden, you get to a game where, the pot kind of starts to boil over, tensions are high. It's a very intense physical game. Someone's been run or a cheap shot's been taken, and both benches are going at each other. And you're gonna see a whole bunch of scrums. You're gonna see, some hits and some questionable things happen before the Maple Leafs would just literally be terrified. It was like they were just like, please God, let the clock tick down so we can get out of here. They had no answer, they had no jam. They were disrespected left, right, and center. They were taken advantage of all over the place. It was embarrassing to be a Leafs fan. A lot of that is pride in your organization and your team and your teammates and what you're doing out there. They didn't seem to have any of it. And all of a sudden you look now and you've got all kinds of different players stepping up and being able to handle themselves. They can handle the high intensity games. They can lead the charge with it. They can lay the big hits, defend each other, stick up for each other. And that reverberates through the entire lineup. You can see other guys in those little scrums are playing a little bit bigger, playing a little bit stronger. And that's all part of that team identity that comes when you start to play a certain way that they absolutely did not have in years past.
The Berube effect. I love it. Did you see this trade yesterday? Nashville and Pittsburgh. It was a minor deal, but I think there's a proximity to the Maple Leafs world because a lot of people wondering what the trade value would be for Nick Robertson. I could tell you right now, it's probably a 4th round pick. That's what Philip Tomasino went for from Nashville to Pittsburgh. And I thought it was sort of interesting and funny that it's Kyle Dubas who inadvertently sets the price for Nick Robertson via trade. Would you trade Robertson for a 4th right now?
I I would rather have him on the Marlies, have him there. I mean, it's not hurting you. What are you doing with a 4th round pick? What's that going to get you? I mean, you get into injury troubles and whatnot. Like, who are we going to if we don't have Robertson right now? Not that he's beaten the world or anything like that, but he's capable. And I mean, I think that he's capable of playing better than he has been this season. I mean, you look at his preseason; he was lights out, earned a spot and everything. It's like, okay, well, can you keep doing this? He's done anything but the potential is there. So I mean, when you run into these injury problems that they have right now, if he wasn't there, who's the next guy to get called up? I mean, you're going deep into the barrel, and that's going
Yeah.
to affect you. I think he's capable of playing in these situations. If everyone gets healthy, I think he's going to find himself on waivers. If you could put a deal together, but right now you put it on my desk, 4th round for Nick Robertson today, I say no.
Yeah, I don't think it makes much sense right now. You're so right. They're so banged up, almost out of necessity. I think how many times we had this conversation where it's like, this is Nick Robertson's time to shine. He's got a moment here. Let's see if he can seize the opportunity. But he truly does. Like until guys start coming back, I think Robertson has a shot. I was at the game against Utah on Sunday. I thought he was really good. He's just so snake bitten right now. Hits a post, misses an easy backdoor tap. He's got 1 goal in 18 games. Man, I was watching the Sharks game against LA on Monday night. Can you believe Timothy Liljegren now has 2 goals in the season, 1 more than Nick Robertson? Timothy Liljegren, man, has more goals than Nick Robertson right now.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is. By all accounts, the guy is snake bitten. He's frustrated. He's in a slump. I mean, he's a guy that likes to score goals and he's capable of scoring goals. And now you can tell, like you said, whiffs on kind of an open netter, hits the post. It's on his mind without question. He's gripping his stick a little bit. He's waiting, like just wait for him to score a goal and look at the bloody look on his face. I guarantee you'll be able to see finally relief written all over his face. And he is struggling right now. And the brutal thing about it is that he's got opportunity out the yin yang to kind of solidify himself as a regular in the lineup and say, hey, I know there's been some chatter about me and my consistency, but I am capable. Here I am. Here's an opportunity. I took it and ran with it. I'm a guy that you're going to have to make tough decisions on, where right now his stock is low. He's gotten tons of opportunities, which he has in the past, hasn't done much with it. By all means, he's snake bitten. It's not working out for Nick Robertson. And I have been a guy that says, hey, a change of scenery would probably make a lot of sense, but timing wise for what he's worth, what you're going to get for him and where our injury status is, I just don't think now's the time.
Leafs Nation, we know you've got thoughts, takes, and opinions, and now is your chance to share them. Please hit that link in the show description or in the YouTube chat, which I'm about to post, and we'll fill out a quick survey. Not only will you help us build the content you actually want to see, but you're also throwing your hat in the ring to win a $250 Fanatics gift card. I wonder if somebody won, they'd get a Nick Robertson 89 Maple Leafs jersey. Only time will tell. But guess what? We've got multiple ones to give away as well, Rosie. It's a quick minute of your time that could score you something super sweet. Don't wait. This chance ends on November 29th. How much would I have to pay you to get a Nick Robertson Fanatics jersey?
There'd be guys lower on the rung for sure. I mean, Nick
Probably,
Robertson,
yeah.
like you say, his effort level is there. Like sometimes he's buzzing, he's fast, he's getting first to pucks, he's forechecking. Like you almost feel bad for the guy because it's this opportunity, and he knows it's like, God, how am I in a slump during this time where I could kind of shine? Like if I could have any semblance of my game, I could make a difference. And I think you see that in his effort level. And I don't knock him personally. I
Yeah.
just look at it from an objective standpoint where if you're the GM, what do you do with them? And it is a business at the end of the day. I got nothing against the kid whatsoever, and I hope the best for him. And I want nothing more than for him to get out of this slump and start lighting it up, if for nothing more than just the success of the Maple Leafs. But he's in a tough spot right now. But again, nothing personal. I would wear his jersey. It's just that he's not doing a whole lot to get a lot of fandom right now.
1 goal in 18 games for Nick Robertson. Next opportunity will be Wednesday night in Sunrise, a big one against the Panthers. We're now just a week away, or less than a week away now, Rosie, from the launch of The Sheet with Jeff Marek, coming every weekday starting Monday, December 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. The Sheet with Jeff Marek is set for liftoff. Jeff will be diving into the biggest storylines shaping hockey today, news, rumors, emerging trends, and insights from every corner of the rink. Again, December 2nd is the launch date, live at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to follow at The Sheet Hockey on all your favorite social media platforms so you don't miss a second. Marek joined us yesterday. He actually hosted Spit and Chicklets today, too. Kind of cool.
Yeah, really cool. Got the green theme going. Is that a young Jeff Marek in the picture? I don't know. Maybe that is current. I think he had a beard when we had him on, but by all accounts, a guy that tons of experience in the hockey world, a vast amount of knowledge, and he likes to articulate his takes and his thoughts in a pretty unique way. So I'm excited for that show to get going. See who he brings on for guests, see what kind of takes he's got. It's by all accounts exciting for the Nation Network and for our organization to get him going. So yeah, time's ticking down. That's coming sooner than later. I'll be sure to subscribe myself and be keeping up with Jeff Marek's takes on that podcast.
Did you hear this Biz Nasty story, by the way, that's going viral? He got jumped by 7 dudes at a restaurant in
Yeah, I
Arizona.
did. I did. Ridiculous. It came out. It's nice he came out and did his. He kind of addressed it right away because
Yeah.
there was wild speculation going on. It was by all accounts accurate speculation, but people start to wonder if they don't get the information from
Mm-hmm.
the horse's mouth right away. But yeah, he's in a restaurant. A bunch of goofs are being really aggressive towards the staff, and Biz being a good guy, by no stretch of the imagination would I think he had anything to do of inciting that happening. He was
No.
probably trying to de-escalate the situation, and a bunch of morons, go after him. What I don't get is did it seriously break into a brawl in the bar and then take its way out? He says by the CVS in the parking lot. That's insane. As a grown man, that's the last thing you want. And you run into a bunch of yahoos who are full of booze and have no off button. It's not something good. Like he's talking about getting booted and stomped and being thrown to the ground a few times. I mean, most guys have been into a bit of a kerfuffle or some kind of
Yeah.
an altercation at some point in their life. But when you're at that age and there's 6 guys stomping you down, that's where people get brain damage. It's not really something to mess around with. So I'm glad by all accounts the guys got caught. I'd like to see their names released, light those guys up online. The internet's great with that, and it's good to see Biz. He's not, yeah, he went to the hospital, got checked out, but by all accounts he's all right, which is nice because he's a great guy for the game.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Happy he's okay, man. That shit's pretty serious. Getting, kicked, boot stomped, or yeah, I mean, you don't know what somebody's gonna pull. I've seen somebody get bottled before, dude. It's the worst thing ever where somebody takes a 2-6 somebody's head or a beer bottle. It just looks terrible. And it's you're so right. Back in college, I think everybody witnessed a bloodbath of sorts, whether it's at a bar or at a party. And it's you don't think of the repercussions. And I think that's the most important thing to draw about this. Yeah, the story sucks, but I'm happy he's okay, man. It could have gone much worse than that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm also curious to obviously everyone in the reason he was sitting in the dining room was because the bar was packed. Everyone saw what these idiots are doing in there, causing a major, an altercation, and the spotlight's right on them. You'd think people would be able to see this other man, Biz, coming in to try to, put a lid on it and kind of bring the situation, de-escalate it. How does
Yeah,
he end up by himself getting stomped in the
it's
like?
weird. Yeah.
Is there any men in that thing that could come? Like, how many men are in that goddamn bar and they all just watch 6 guys take Biz out and stomp him? Like, who the hell is in there? I'd have a tough time with that because I am positive by all accounts, and I would maybe have a feeling to do the same as go over and be like, whoa, let's take a not like try to be the voice of reason. And I've kind of, believe it or not, always been that way when you're at the bar. And when I was young and when shit hits the fan, I'm always like, guys, what are like, I'm not an angry guy when I'm drinking by any means. I'm more like put my arm around a guy and like fun loving. So I could see myself being in the same situation of trying to de-escalate the whole thing and be like, guys, let's relax, like take off, pay your tab, get out of here, like go somewhere else. This isn't going well. And to end up in a parking lot getting stomped after that, I question the rest of the patrons on what the hell they were doing during all that.
It's funny that we were always taught as kids to de-escalate situations, but I find when you de-escalate it, it just gets worse by experience.
It
But what
can.
else can you do? Mario Kart writes in, Rosie, any good bar stories of your own? I think you keep those for the vault, though. I wouldn't share any right now.
There's a few. It's usually buddies or
Yeah,
my brother, to be honest, getting in some kind of a pickle where you got to go in again. I'm
I'm not
usually very,
shocked.
very quick to de-escalate it. I am not interested in fighting in parking lots or in the bars or any of that. Like you say, there's just no rules, no holds barred. A good old hockey scrap. You know exactly what to expect, which brings us to the beginning of the show. Rear
Mhm.
naked chokes are not something you expect. So yeah, I stayed away from that shit for the most part.
Everything comes full circle here on Leafs Morning Take. Make sure to get those super chats in at the Leafs Nation 401. Please do us a favor, hammer that like button, hammer that subscribe button at the Leafs Nation 401. Leafs Morning Take, wherever you find your podcast, make sure to leave us a 5-star review, which I've seen over the last couple of days you guys have. That really supports and helps the show. So I appreciate that. And also, don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com for the very latest on all things Toronto Maple Leafs. I put it up an article earlier today regarding the Tom Mosino trade and what it could mean for Nick Robertson's future and his value on the trade market if and when the Leafs elect to pull the trigger on the trade front when it comes to Nick Robertson. How about Joseph Woll getting the 3rd star of the week for the NHL? 2 wins, a 1 GA, 964 save percentage, 1 shutout. Quietly, he's gaining confidence by the start. I think he's been really steady lately.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Gaining confidence. I mean, he had probably the last thing you would want from him personally from a start to the season being injured before opening night. I mean, when the question marks around him are can he stay healthy? That's a nightmare start. And once he does inevitably get healthy, you wonder, where is he at and how did that affect him? By all accounts, he's bounced back very well. That's a dream scenario for his back-to-backs. Those numbers are insane. And gets a star of the week in the whole league, rightfully so. And I think that's great. Like we'll talk about who play in the future here if he stays healthy. There's gonna be a lot of conversation over who plays when. It's already starting. Like does he play on Sunday? Who plays Wednesday? You got the Panthers. You're looking at the schedule. It's a difficult situation. We saw it with Allmark and Swayman last year. It was like, do you just flat out go one after the other and just switch hit them? I think, they played Wool twice in a row, and it's like, ooh, well, Stoley won't get to play for 8 days. I think it's a great situation in Toronto here with their goaltending tandem because Stoley's used to not playing for 8 days in a row. He's always kind of been a backup. I think 29 games or 28 is his ceiling when it comes to games played per season. So if Wool gets hot and it makes sense to keep him in, I think that's totally fine. And on the flip side, if Stoley's hot as hell, if he stands on his head on Wednesday, beats his former team, by all means keep him in for another game and ride him again. And I don't think that hurts Joseph Woll personally either, because here's a guy who has trouble staying healthy. You don't want to ride him 60 games a year and have him worn down by the playoffs. I think both guys are in a position to be totally fine with sitting out for, maybe that week and just biding your time, staying healthy, doing your rehab, working with the goaltending coaches, waiting for your chance. And by all accounts, they can handle that so far. It's been going fantastically. And I just look at how are they going to handle it. And I think if they do go to, ride the hot hand for a couple games, I think both guys are in a good position to be fine with sitting there backing up for a period of time.
It's a good issue to have. I would definitely agree with you. Saw your tweet the other night as well. You said the Leafs legit have 2 rock solid goaltenders. Awesome. Hashtag Leafs forever. Really building in those hashtags in your X tweets these days. I don't know if we call it X or
Is
tweets
that
or
a
whatever
thing?
we call it.
Is that a thing people do still? Or I don't know
Yeah,
what I'm
man.
doing
People
on Twitter.
search for Leafs forever, but I thought it was a good tweet. And I can't remember a time I've been this confident in the Maple Leafs crease, but it got me wondering, like, Find me a better goalie tandem in the NHL right now. You probably can. The numbers speak for themselves. The Leafs tied for second in goals allowed right now, 2.48 per game. Yeah, it's the Berube effect, but the goalies have been great, man, whether it's Stolarz, Hildeby, or Joseph Woll for that matter.
Yeah, everything's come together, and that's obvious. Everyone's like knows that and is thrilled about that. But what are we paying these two guys? It's like $3 million for both. It's like out of control value. It's the absolute dream scenario when you're signing goaltenders. Like both of them are capable, playing way over their head, way over their contract, and you're not breaking the bank on getting them. And neither of them are like getting their toes stepped on by like what is this sharing bullshit? I'm a starting goaltender. I have way more value than this guy. It's hurting my stock not playing. There's none of that. Stoley's been used to it. He steps into this big market in the limelight, handles it perfectly, but is a guy that's not, saying I'm a Vezina winner and I need to play every night. And then you got Wool, who's doesn't have a ton of experience. By all accounts, could easily be a starter. They both could at this point, but they're just everything lines up well for the Maple Leafs right now, and nobody knows what the future is going to hold. But so far, I think that Tree Living is looking like a genius by having these guys be their tandem. It could not be working out much better.
Talk about extracting value. It's been sensational thus far. Some comparable tandems, I would say, around the league right now. Anderson and Kochetkov, but they're never healthy in Carolina. I think Washington maybe is the closest second. Like I do truly feel like the Leafs have the top tandem in the league right now. Not to the effect of Swayman Allmark, but these guys have been awesome through 21 games. Washington's in that conversation as well with Logan Thompson and Charlie
Markstrom,
Lindgren.
Allen.
Yeah, but that's not really a tandem. I think Markstrom's a definitive number one there.
I just stole it from Vic anyway. He put it in the
Oh,
chat.
okay. I didn't see it in the chat there. I think Markstrom is more the definitive number one, but I would say Jake Allen is a really really sound backup. Like that's how I view him. But I think he could be the best backup in the league. Calgary I'd throw into the equation as well. Dustin Wolf has been tremendous. Vladar as well. But I honestly bias aside, I think having this conversation, I think Toronto has got the best tandem in the league right now. It's crazy to even say that or suggest it.
I think the results speak for themselves, the numbers and what these guys are doing. Stoley's been ridiculous during Wool's absence, and Wool has only come back as strong as you would have hoped and taken the reins as well. So I love the fact that it's not like a Markstrom Allen, because yeah, that's a very good tandem too. And it's a good point by producer Vic that
Yeah.
that's someone you could look to that could, you know, say, well, they're pretty good too. But yeah, there's a clear number one, and it's a back and forth. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to have a clear number one. And when you get in a jam, it's easy just to say, boom, here's a number one. And there will be times in this season, you just wait, when it's kind of controversial on who they go to and who they use. And it's very difficult to decide who's a better play. But again, like I mentioned before, I think the fact that they're both, solid, capable guys, but who have not established themselves as number one guys, I don't think their ego is going to get in the way. And I think they could do exactly what they're doing for the rest of the season and just switch hit it perfectly.
I'm fired up about it. I really am. Considering the conversations, right, we've had over the last couple of years when it comes to the crease, right?
Big time. Big time. I mean, the Leafs goaltending woes go back a long time, and even the really good ones have been like inconsistent and not able to kind of quite, steal the games. I think this duo is going to be interesting in the playoffs, though. I hope that they don't try to big brain it and try to reinvent the wheel by like all of a sudden, just because it's playoffs, panicking and saying this has to be our number one guy. Like, I don't have a problem with them, just rolling the same way they do in the regular season, where this guy, if he does well, keep him. If not, this other guy matches up better against this situation, like just do this. If it's working, don't fix it. Don't try to big brain it. If this is what they're going to do all season, I think they need to stay on the course for the playoffs too. But it'll be some conversation about that in between the pipes for the playoffs, I imagine.
John Gallagher writes in, I still have nightmares about Toskala and Raycroft. So do I. What could have been
Raycroft,
with
I scored my
Tuukka Rask?
first professional goal on Raycroft, but
Hey, I
that
tried to
was
get him on recently. No response from that guy. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe
maybe
he
he's
doesn't
still
want to talk
bitter
to you.
about my muffin from the point in 2005.
That's one of your 5.5 goals in the NHL. We,
No,
we
that
should
was
play every goal
that was
in
American
every
League.
show.
That was American League.
Oh, excuse
First
me. It
pro
wasn't even in
goal.
the National League. First
My
pro goal. My mistake. Okay.
first national was Marc-Andre Fleury, the
Okay.
defending Stanley Cup champions, in
That's
my
pretty
third
good.
game at Air Canada Center. Come on.
Who's keeping score at home? No, that's pretty damn good. You
They're
score a
easy to keep
Marc-Andre
in
Fleury.
track. They're easy to
Yeah.
keep lined up in my mind. There's not a lot of them.
Lions at Leafs practice. So they're heading to Florida later on today. Auston Matthews is out there. It's his first practice, full team practice, I guess we'll call it. Matthew Knies is out there in a non-contact jersey, so he's eligible, I believe, to return on Saturday anyways. But you got McMahon, Tavares, Marner, so they're electing to keep Tavares and Marner together. You got Holmberg, Matthews, Nylander, that's William, Robertson, Minton, Alex Nylander. Then you got Steves, Dewar, and Lorentz. Then the fifth line, Knies, Reeves, and Grebenkin. And of note as well, Jake McCabe is absent. But remember the Max Domi thing? It was just harmless day to day. Where the hell is Max Domi? It's always the same shit, man. I'm telling you.
I know. I don't get why the Leafs do that. It hurts their reputation, it hurts their credibility, right? With when they say things, it just opens up the door for journalists and media personnel to run wild with opposite theories, right? They don't
Mhm.
trust what you say anymore. Your word doesn't mean anything. And that only gets worse and worse as you have one example after the other. The Matthews thing was kind of a debacle. And I give him the benefit of the doubt, saying maybe things changed, right? And you did think he was day to day. And Auston wasn't, totally understanding of what's going through his body, didn't realize the severity of it. Who knows? But now again, like, and it's not the first time they've had completely off, remarks with injuries before. Now the Domi thing, he's on the complete back burner, not even skating. So it is weird. I wish they'd be more forthcoming about it because it just makes it easier to report on and to guess about what's going on. And when they do this, now just wild speculation is going to get thrown out. Like, is Domi in Germany? Like, who knows what's going to start happening? But by all accounts, they're banged up as hell. You look at that bottom six, it doesn't look ideal. I think when everyone's healthy, the bottom six could use a little bit of tweaking. But again, with the call it the Berube effect, they are playing the right kind of hockey. They're responsible. Their D are helping them out. Their tenders are helping them out. They're keeping the puck, in the safe positions. They're not exposing it to odd man rushes and breakaways and breakdowns and turnovers because it's just not acceptable on this roster anymore. And they're it's pretty impressive what they're doing. Like, I don't think the rest of the league that doesn't pay attention to the Leafs even realizes what they're going through as far as injuries on their forward personnel. And they're just still rattling off impressive wins. So hopefully that continues. But yeah, it's just an absolute blender of personnel going through those lines these days.
Make of it what you will, but Matthews taking regular line rushes, and he led the stretch today. And they got a game tomorrow. Again, just my opinion. It looks like he's going to Florida at the very least. Whether he plays tomorrow, we'll see. But that's a good development.
He's back. I'm not watching it personally, but just from what you said, that says to me that he's playing and he's getting ready. You jump in the middle and lead the boys, and hey, I'm back, kind of thing. Um, Maybe he takes Wednesday off and comes back this weekend, but it's very clear that he's very close, which is a great sign. It's absolutely mind numbing how well they've done without him. Like, the day he left, the power play gets fixed. They're rattling off 7 out of whatever. Everyone's
8.
on fire. It's odd. But by all accounts, with his ability, he should come in and fit in just fine and only help the situation. So, fingers crossed that's exactly what happens. But these guys do things backwards sometimes, as we know.
Curious to get your take that you bring up Matthews. Some saying maybe it's not the right opponent to bring back Auston Matthews. How would you respond to something like that?
Well, they are a very gritty, physical team. They play hard, they play heavy. They have a history in the playoffs. They're struggling right now, so they're going to be like coming out with vigor, saying, we know how to pick this team apart, even though it is a considerably different team. If he's even wavering, or if it's even a question of him playing, then I say hold him out. I get, again, the team's kicking ass without him. So yeah, maybe wait for the weekend. I'm okay with that. But if he was okay on the weekend and you already did that one more game, let's just wait till this weekend and give him that extra bit of time. Then it just seems like you're scared to put him back in, which he's a big boy
Exactly.
and an elite NHLer. So it would depend on how close he is to being 100%. I have no idea what that is. Only they do. So like I said, if they're even wavering on it, then yeah, maybe Wednesday's not the game. But if he's already been doing that, and this is like his extra time that he's got, then get him in the game and get him going. It's not like they're bloody, maniacs out there that's going to kick the shit out of him and hurt him again. That's just being scared.
No, I agree. Like, I'm always curious about the message it sends if he can't go. But you're right, we're not privy to that information, anyways. Like, if he's good enough to go, he's good enough to go. And by all accounts, at practice, leading the stretches, taking regular rushes, it seems like Matthews' return is imminent, whether it's against Florida or against Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday. But you're right. I honestly think during the course of an NHL game, regardless of the opponent, whether it's Florida or the San Jose Sharks for that matter, or Chicago, you're prone to taking a stick or a cross check. So like, I think it would actually set the wrong message if he doesn't play in that type of game.
Yeah, and it's hard to speculate because
Yeah,
again, the Leafs, we don't know. We don't even know what the hell he hurt. So it's tough to
we
say.
have
But
ideas. We have ideas.
from where we stand, yeah, from where we stand, if he's already been capable of playing on the weekend and he waited till this one, then get him going. Who gives a rip who you're playing?
Yeah.
But if he's still kind of like, should we or shouldn't we? If it's a hesitation, then yeah, take the Florida game off. That's just how I look at it, and only they know the answer to that. So I guess we'll find out shortly. But kind of looks from practice like he is. I would not be surprised if he played.
The McCabe stuff is interesting. I guess Berube will talk in a couple minutes after practice here, but no McCabe at practice. He's had a really good year. I love the guys that nobody really talks about, like Tanev and McCabe. Just every shift is strong and hard on the puck, and the consistency's been there. I love those type of players.
Totally. Like Tanev he's one of those guys where if you do something special, you won't be talking about it at the time, but afterwards when you look back, you'll realize we don't even do that without that guy. Like he's so unsung, such an unsung hero, and the things he doesn't get on the highlight reel and doesn't really even get on the stat sheet all that much, but he has been an invaluable asset in addition to this team without question. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he kind of, shows up a little bit more in the highlights and on the game and on the score sheet and power play, this and that. So he kind of gets a fair bit of the accolades, but by all accounts, Tanev is just a beast back there. Him and McCabe, I love McCabe, Benoit. These are the guys that don't get a lot of the pats on the backs, but that's a defensive stay-at-home shutdown defenseman for you. That's just the nature of the beast, and but they are as important as anybody. But yeah, they don't get the tips of the cap all that much. But it's nice when you do mention them and talk about them because they're quietly a huge part of the Leafs' success so far in the first quarter of the season.
You haven't had a chance to weigh in on Alex Nylander joining his brother Willie. I was in attendance at the game, as mentioned, on Sunday. I thought it was so cool. They got some reps on the PP. Alex had a couple of opportunities to score in that game. That's got to be like the best thing ever, the best feeling ever, especially when it's noted these guys are best friends. To play together in the National League is so cool.
It is cool. It kind of went under the radar. Like he was just in the lineup and there wasn't like an announcement and there wasn't
Well,
any
they signed
build.
him Friday. We had a big thing on
Well, I
YouTube,
know
big
that, but
thumbnail,
he
everything.
doesn't mean he's instantly playing and there was no
Yeah.
fanfare. It was just kind of like, oh, there he is. And then the first game, and it just kind of came and went really quick, where then you stop and look and go, man, that is pretty special for the Nylanders in Toronto for the Maple Leafs and doing what they're doing. And, everyone asking Chief if he's putting them together. He's like, geez, man, like I don't roll that way. But of course, being a good guy, he finds a way to get them out there together and they had their chances. It was awesome, man. And you look at Alex and a top 10 draft pick. His numbers last year in Columbus were really good, but can't even find a legitimate contract this year. Kind of a head scratcher. And by all accounts, again, a really good pickup by Tree Living to say, hey, we'll get you in here. We only have to get you an American League contract and wait to see where the chips fall. Here we are. We need him. And you sign him up and he's in the NHL and he's playing. So a good pickup by him. And it's just, I don't know the ins and outs of his career and why he hasn't really blossomed into what his potential or what his expectations were, but obviously there's some meat on the bone there and some talent and also some potential with him to find his way. And it's tough to do in this market, but it's just cool to see him get an opportunity.
To your point earlier on, I think it's really been unique in the fact that a guy goes down seemingly every game and the Leafs don't skip a beat and they find that structure and that system. And I think it just speaks volumes to the job Craig Berube has done the last little while, coaching this team to victory night after night after night, regardless of the opponent, regardless of who's out of the lineup. But there's been a lot of really cool stories early on in terms of AHL call-ups. Who's impressed you the most when it comes to the call-ups here?
The first two names that come is like Grabankin and
You love that guy, I can tell. Grabankin?
it's just like he's not ready right now. He's not
No, he's not.
gonna be a full-time asset on this thing, but his attitude, I mean, he's got that, that Boston in their prime attitude. He's got the Florida Panthers kind of attitude. He's going to buzz out there. He's not apologetic. He's full of energy. He's very likable. He plays hard as hell and has got, enough to justify the roster spot. And I'm excited to have this guy in the organization and for him to develop down, in the minor leagues and get his, development going. And I hope that he blossoms into a guy that makes a big impact. I mean, you go crazy and think Darcy Tucker, the Russian Darcy Tucker out there just getting in everyone's face, just a wrecking ball who can still play hockey and could become a big piece of the heartbeat of the Maple Leafs. So I really like him. And, Fraser Minton comes in 2 points in 2 games, scores in his debut. By all accounts, that's fantastic. I don't think either of them have come in and been like, oh my God, we can never send them down again. I think development in the minors is still in their future and rightfully so. But it's just great to, that's the one good thing about injuries is you get a chance to test out your prospects and see what they can do. And it's not like the weight of the world's on their shoulders or they have to perform or you're dead. It's just like, here's a handful of games. Let's see what you can do. By all accounts, they both look good, but still looking forward to getting these guys healthy. No question.
My bad, by the way. I coughed during your diatribe there. I pressed the wrong button. There's like literally a mute button, and I pressed the sound button. So good on you.
Not too worried about it, Nikolai.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with you. My answer would be Fraser Minton. I know the sample size is small, but they rave about this kid for a reason, and it's defensively. Like and it's one game that I was at the other day. I watched him actually play when he got the first goal of his career against Vegas as well. His attention to detail defensively at that age is pretty surreal to me. I even saw a great back check in the game against Utah. It just seems like he's a bit older than his years when it comes to the defensive part of the puck. And as we've learned, any coach in this league, whether it's Craig Berube, Sheldon Keefe, if you can excel without the puck and defensively, they're going to find a spot for you in this league. And that's probably what they saw in Minton a year ago when he made this team out of camp, right?
Yeah, what Minton has is a high hockey IQ and then the ability in his body to complement that. And he's 20 years old. So the thing he doesn't have is a plethora of experience and confidence at that level. By all accounts, he is going to be a integral part of the Leafs in the future. Whether it's right now or not, I mean, I don't think it hurts him at all when guys are healthy to get back on the Marlies and just give them little pieces and little nuggets as time goes on with some experience. But 20 years old, man, and we're talking about him playing without the puck and defensive abilities. He just sees the ice well, and he has a high hockey IQ, and then he's just got the talent to be able to score in his first game and do those things that that make him a guy that we talk about. So certainly a highly touted prospect who I don't even think there's a lot of question marks about whether he's going to work out or not. He will be a crucial part of the Maple Leafs in the near future. Just, I don't think you need to rush him at 20 years old, which they're not.
No, you're right. And I think the call up was out of necessity. They really didn't want to do it. Having said that, I think you credit the kid. As you mentioned, he's 20, but he sees the opportunity. 2 outings in, I don't think he's looked at a place or anything, which is good. He's on PP1 in front of the net.
Not even remotely out of place, and nor would you expect him to be. It's just the difference of, what were the opportunities? You keep him at a training camp and play him, and then it's like, shit, I'm here. The media, people are talking about, am I ready? Is this right? And if I don't start hot, everyone's going to say, told you so, and you're ruining this kid. And maybe he doesn't go as well as he wanted, doesn't handle the pressure all that well, and you have a little bit of a skid at the beginning, and then all of a sudden your confidence is down. It's just the last thing you want to do with a guy starting his career. By all accounts, put him in the Marlies. That's another just step up from where he's been playing. Light that up, get all the confidence in the world, feel like kind of a leader among them, and hey, I am cream of the crop around here, and get that confidence. And then injuries are going to happen. Give him a taste like they just did, and he's handled it just fine. That's a better way to go about it, because the weight of the world isn't on his shoulders. It's like, hey, they have to call me up. They're chucking me in there. If I do well or not so well, it's not like the sky's falling or like expectations are super high. It's just the right way to handle a guy that's 20 years old. And it's a credit to him that we're even talking about be doing more with him, because he is such an elite player. And that's why I say, I mean, the writing's on the wall. He's going to be a force down the road sooner than later.
Obviously, I think it's clear the Leafs will covet a center between now and the trade deadline. Did you catch that segment on Overdrive yesterday?
I didn't.
Sidney Crosby, They talked about Crosby and Hayes up to whole Hayes stuff, bringing up why don't the Leafs go after Sidney Crosby? It's never going to happen. I
How are
think
they going
it's
to make
fun.
8.7 million bucks? Like,
Yeah,
it's a
it's fun to talk about. It really is. Like I understand why he brought it up, but I think it's impossible, pretty
what
much.
would his role be? Like, I just think like he's the ultimate professional, the ultimate leader. He's Mount Rushmore of a hockey player, but you put him in that locker room, like where does he fit with the Marners and Nylanders and Matthews and Tavares's, and how much of a voice does he have? How much does he step on Austin's toes? You need his leadership is everything, and is he ready to kind of take that step back and be a little bit quieter? Like he does everything right. I mean, his practices are legendary. The things that he does in practice at full speed, and it would just be odd. I just as amazing as that would be, and as unlikely as it would be to pull off, I just don't know if it's the answer for this group. I just see it being almost a major distraction.
Probably. It brought back memories of me taking phone calls on the radio and why I hated taking phone calls on the radio. You should read the mentions to that segment as to what people legitimately would give up to land Sidney Crosby in Toronto. I'm not kidding you. It was like Nick Robertson in a first. Like, we fucking kidding here?
There's so many things that would have to go, like cap wise, salary wise, what you're giving up wise.
What's your best offer right now for
Oh,
Crosby?
don't even start.
Mine was Knies, Cowan in a first.
Oh, ow. What did you got?
Exactly, but to get somebody of that I don't care if he's 3,000 years old. The guy's still a top 20, top 15
Oh
player in the
hell,
league.
he is
Yeah.
phenomenal, man. And how do I know that he's not the missing ingredient to get him over the hump here? But and some people's mentality would be like, now's the time. Like now's the time. Are you trying to win a cup or not? Now's the time. But I just think with the dynamics of this team to bring Crosby in, I just see it as taking, because his name is Crosby and who he is, you're just shoving him in there and saying, there, we fixed it. And I just see it being tough, as great of a leader and professional as he is and could rub off so well on so many other guys. I just don't see it fitting and working. That being said, if this desk is the GM desk and a legit offer comes on, it would be very difficult to say no, man. Who says no to getting Sidney Crosby on their team?
You don't. Aside from the whole cap compliant stuff,
Yeah.
I just it drives me insane. I don't. It's not just Leafs Nation; it's every fan base. But like you want to talk about getting a Crosby just for the fun of the conversation, but you don't want to give anything up. I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
Okay.
good luck. Do you think Dubas is just giving you Crosby to the Maple Leafs to after the success they're somewhat having since his departure? There's just so many things that would have to go well that I'm sorry, they're just not going to happen.
He's running that team into the ground. It's actually pretty funny to watch. I'll be honest.
You look back at, the teams that he built and the way that they played, and there's a reason that these guys can come in and step up, these guys that aren't otherwise on the roster, and have success. It's because the system and the expectations that are implemented are conducive to them being able to play it. Before a guy gets called up to the Leafs, and you got Willie and Marner just looping and shooting and swirling, and there isn't a start or a stop to be seen, and there's high risk plays going left and right, 2-on-1s, breakaways on the power play, like zero accountability. Some kid comes up there and he's like, you're supposed to, you get called up, you play meat and potatoes, you keep the puck in the safe areas, you forecheck, you move your feet, you do all those little intangible things well in order to set the table for the next line. It's just hard to do in the past with the way that they played, and now it's a way that everyone can get on board with. A kid that's coming up, that's nervous, that hasn't played in the NHL much, hey, here's our system, keep it simple, stupid, get it deep, protect the puck, move your feet, move it north, no turnovers, nothing stupid at the blue lines, easy to play, and everyone can jump on board with that and have success. And then the big boys' skill complements it. It's what we've been crying for a while. And again, everything has gone to plan with Craig Berube so far.
Hey, we found a solution in the chat. John Gallagher writes in Crosby for Robertson and Steves. That'll get the job done.
Like these pipe dream like things. Yeah, we'd take that. Well, no shit. But you get laughed out of an office if you ever brought that to the table.
I kid you not. I took calls for years on NHL Network Radio, as well as when I did the Leafs radio hosting gig with Sportsnet. And some of the trade requests I would get to mull over on my show were insane. They were utterly insane.
What if it was like what if it was like Domi, a first rounder, and give me another, just give me an
So
you got to
Pittsburgh
go
is,
too
is
deep.
is trading the face of their franchise for Max Domi, who's been on 23 teams, who just
I
signed
know,
a
I'm
team
looking,
friendly
I'm going,
deal.
well, it ain't any of the ones that are coming to my mind. So you're looking at the back end, and there's just no reason to break up a good thing right
It would
now.
never happen.
No, there's
It's
not.
fun to talk about. There's some guys on Pittsburgh I might sniff around on. We've talked about this before, like maybe like a Logan O'Connor, but I don't know. They're in trouble. I wouldn't help that team out. And a lot of people in the chat make the honest point, like Kyle Dubas, you fired me. Here's one of the best players ever in Sidney Crosby. Not
Good
happening.
luck. Good luck. Not a
Do you
chance.
think he stays at Penn for life? By the way,
I do. I don't
do
know how
you?
they get out of the jam that they're in, but just because he took a bit of a discount doesn't mean they're just going to build this team around him automatically. It's tough, but imagine they do move on from Crosby. The fan bases and the merchandise that would suffer. It would be a big hit to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So for them to do that, they would have to get the world in return. That's something that could seriously and quickly turn their franchise around, and that's just not happening, guys.
Would you trade Mitch Marner in a deal to get Crosby?
Yes, I would.
Me too.
And his stock is high. I don't know. It's just you got
Man,
Willie
I
Eugene,
felt
Matthews.
the urge. I was leaving Scotiabank Arena on Sunday. Marner had the game of his life. He's
Tweet.
dancing, doing that ballerina shit all over. Like, he was so good. And I wanted to tweet, Mitch Marner's value will never be higher than right now. But I knew the backlash on that tweet, so I didn't send it. I was a good boy.
I was gonna too. I was gonna tweet even with a game as phenomenal as that, only Mitch Marner could mar it with the dough head move at the
I knew
very
you
end.
were going to
Find the
text me when that
fucking
happened.
split two guys with a waist high sauce to spring a guy when the wall is wide open. It's just you could see the look on his face going, "Oh no!" And those are the old Mitchy habits that he's can't escape yet. But I stood away from it, so I wasn't like a Mitch basher. But man,
Yeah.
he's on fire by all accounts. And yeah, that heel to heel mohawk and spinning and edge
He was
work
sick.
all over
Yeah.
hell is phenomenal. I just worry if you can do that in the playoffs without just getting sat on your ass and then being like, oh, now what do I do? But it's nonetheless, it's nice to see Mitchie playing as good as he is. He's helping out this team in a time of need without question.
Mario Kart writes in, can we get a Leaf show without Marner haters?
See?
There's got to be a calculator community show out there that'll give you that type of information. His numbers with the puck, without the puck.
I don't hate Marner. I just, and you know what? Talking about the core four and running it back, and that's been the same old story. By all accounts, right now, this team looks considerably different. And I'm not, it's just like you used to just play, okay, we're playing road hockey out there. Hopefully Marner can have 2 or 3 points every single game. And in the playoffs, it just wasn't possible. I know you can point to his playoff numbers being quite good and stuff like that. But in the time of desperation and need, I think there's an argument that he hasn't done it. But this team looks a lot more solid, and they're playing a lot better hockey that's more conducive to the playoffs. So if Mitch continues to do this and they do re-sign him, I think that I would be sitting a lot better with it just based on the team that's around him than I would have, say, in the summertime.
We got Zach Phillips in the chat, our main man. Make sure to tune into Leafs Nation After Dark tomorrow with guest Jay Rosehill. But Marner to Pitt, he said, Nick, I think I've seen that show. They were trying to tell me the Leafs were bad and Robertson is a first liner. Very true, actually. Calculator community, big fans of Nick Robertson.
I love it when people try to talk about trades and they want to get rid of their garbage for something good and say, what? Why wouldn't that work? What's wrong with that trade? Well, nothing's wrong with it from your point of view, you doughhead, but you got to look at it from all perspectives, and it has to make sense for everybody.
Anyways, we got to fly. Somehow this conversation on today's show morphed to maybe trading Mitch Marner for Sidney Crosby. So we're content creators here. We're content kings here at Leafs Morning Take. It's time for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION, all in uppercase today. That's code NATION, N-A-T-I-O-N. I'm looking at the Jake DeBrusk return to Boston tonight as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to play the shot prop over 2.5 shots on goal and maybe the anytime goal as well.
Cool, man. I am looking at the value and stuff. I'm waiting for the Bruins to kind of collectively get their stuff together and have a little bounce back. But when I look at the value, the Vancouver Canucks, I'm just going to take the Canucks to continue the Boston Bruins woes. You're getting even money there at plus 100. Don't remortgage your house on that, though, because I'm kind of wavering. I'm waiting for the Bruins to bounce back, but with the value, I'm going Canucks.
I would also look at the under in that game. Boston's played 2 games with Joe Sacco. Both have hit the unders. They're 2-0 in that time stretch as well, back to back for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Believe it or not, we got not one but 2 of my beer league line mates in the chat right now. Zach Phillips, by the way, came out on Sunday. We played a twin bill, scored the GWG. You talk about Knies right now and Nick Robertson, dude. I'm in the slump of my life. I haven't scored a goal in the winter session this year, so Zach's trying to get me that. He's on board with the DeBrusk anytime goal. And my other buddy, Mark Pendleton, the team cappy, says revenge. I do love the revenge angle in betting. Jake DeBrusk returned to Boston in that game.
All right. Well, I'm completely rethinking my bet in general, and I didn't realize they're on a 2-game heater. So scratch that. I'm going to be a game time decision on that one.
Fair enough. One day, maybe we get a line together, me, you, and Phillips, man. Phillips is nasty, man. This guy's got a great shot. He's so confident, too, on the bench. He's like, the goalie was actually pretty good in game 2 of our twin bill, and he's like, I'm going to whiz one by his ear, and he put 2 by him in a hurry.
That's Zach. Well, what kind of style does he have out there? Does he?
Dude, we talked about this on the bench. Zach Phillips looks like a guy you make him be a pro in NHL. Like, he's got the mustache, the visor. It's like Leo Komarov style. It's like, why even wear a visor at this point? Just take it off. You can, I guess.
I need live barn of your next game for a good chuckle.
Yeah. Zach's a stud, man. Everybody on the team wants to sign him.
Jasper Pond Hockey Tournament, man. I mean, it's not a pipe dream. This could happen.
I went last year. I might send Zach this year. I don't want Saravalli yelling at me anymore just for my shit play on the ice, so I might just call it. I just got beat that entire tourney. I was sauced, but I'm just terrible at hockey too.
All I know is I'm gonna put Pinder into the other deck of the other game going on beside me. I did not realize he was gonna come out like that, so he's gonna have a rude awakening this year if that thing happens.
Yeah, make sure to check out Barn Burner. But yeah, Ryan Pinder, man, he's like one of those go-hards that you find in beer league, man. He, for like drop of the puck, the guy was just buzzing. You know, he was there 3 hours before stretching too, right?
Literally, he's an eccentric dude, and he takes his pond hockey very seriously. And I'm gonna put a stop to that this year.
Lastly, Crit Commanda, will Nick shave off that dirty stash next week? You know what? I'm gonna keep it on until the Leafs actually lose another game.
That's fair. I like it. I like it with just the classic medium 5 o'clock shadow, a little more beard. I think it's my jealousy that I don't have much facial hair that I like that, but that is one thick. It's like a cop duster from the 80s.
It's good though, right? Remember at the beginning you were questioning it. You said, "Hey, just ferment it," but I think it's coming in pretty hot, man. Well, not hot, but you know what I mean.
Thick as hell, man. Yeah, it does, and it's an obvious low hanging fruit, but it complements those eyebrows pretty hard.
Well, no, trust me, on a daily basis, and I monitor this chat. People say, "Oh, there's 3 mustaches in Alberga's face or 3 eyebrows." I get it. Thank you very much. I have very weird, thick eyebrows.
I think mine are thin. Look at my eyebrows compared to yours. I could use some of that.
Yours looks like they've been seized in a fire.
Singed,
is that the word? Seized?
Singed? No, it is not.
Was singed?
Singed, you meathead.
Usually I'm the guy who corrects your spelling and stuff, but yeah, I couldn't even pull out the thesaurus there. Okay, we got to fly. Coming up tomorrow, we talked about Spit and Chicklets earlier on. Mike Grinnell. Grinnelli's going to drop by for Spit and Chicklets, and we're going to preview. Dude, this is the biggest matchup of the season. I know it's game 82, but this is the battle for first. The Panthers have dropped 4 in a row. The Leafs a mini 2-game Florida trip here. Maybe Matthews is back. I'm pumped for this one tomorrow.
It is a biggins. I'm pumped for it too. I am going to be right there, basement, ready, total focus. It's kind of the biggest game, like you said, that has reason to get up for. A lot of implications, and oh god, it would be nice. I hope the moment doesn't get the best of them because they're playing damn good hockey, and the Panthers are kind of struggling. They'll be looking to take it to them. So interesting to see all kinds of different things. What that lineup looks like. Auston Matthews in, who's between the pipes, how the Panthers respond. Lots of things to look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I expect a fierce response by the Florida Panthers, and I'm scared shitless that Auston Matthews is coming back, considering the Leafs have won 7 of 8 without him. And that power play, well, they were terrible against Utah, by the way. They went 1 for 6, but I'll take Pappy back any day of the week. So we'll talk tomorrow. Thank you to everybody in the chat at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Many thanks to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. Take care. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.